Pecha Kucha 284 revisiting The Long Halloween. So yeah, as I've said previously, having read some of the modern comics I've read, I suddenly got paranoid about how good the old comics were I've read. So I've been kind of nosing through my personal collection and just seeing if I think things that I used to think were good hold up. The Long Halloween is what I read this week, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I regarded it as a masterclass in storytelling, a seminal work in the Batman lexicon, something you should read if you want a reason to read Batman and you want something to own that's worth owning. Do I still feel that way? Very much so. The story is of gangsters. It takes place very early in Batman's career. It's effectively the origin of Two-Face. There is a mystery that takes place over 13 issues from Halloween to Halloween. Every issue is a month, and every issue focuses on a holiday because the organized crime of Gotham is being targeted by a serial killer who's killing people on the holidays. And Tim Sale's art, the way he works, a lot of what he does I find phenomenal. In this particular example, it's the way he's using the panels to kind of mimic what's going on. Harvey Dent being knocked out and the panels getting smaller as his consciousness fades. This is also the story of Batman, Harvey Dent, and James Gordon, who is not the commissioner yet, working together to try and solve the serial killing. And really, the best stories are the stories of people that lead the plot, because what they do, interesting characters interest you, and then you follow what they do, and that's why the plot's interesting. This is a great example here of just the strong iconography and the graphic style of Tim Sale, who is very heavy on blacks, and he's very heavy on kind of caricature, and I love it. Like when the Joker shows up, he's really a bit part player in the story. He just shows up because well, I mean, there's 13 issues and there's a villain in every one. He's so spindly and he seems almost fragile, but when he starts getting slapped around, it's almost like he's a rubber chicken. He just goes with the flow. And it's not just the characters that have character. Tim Sale's art lends Gotham itself and the key locations a lot of character. Wayne Manor is simply oppressive in how opulent and grand it is. When Gordon and Harvey Dent come to pay Bruce Wayne a visit, it's not just the butler that makes them feel unwelcome. And on the right-hand page here, just the mobsters meeting in a room lit by these monstrously large back windows. Tim Sale does so much just by the placement of black. It makes me cry. It's so good. There's also a bit where Batman gets fear-gassed and he goes on the run from the cops as Bruce Wayne because he's a person of interest in the current investigation. And it's just there's so much interesting stuff in the writing that's so brilliantly visualized. It would be beautiful to see this stuff turned into a movie or a long-form TV show in the hands of people who wanted to do justice to Jeff Loeb's writing and Tim Sale's art. Also, at the very end, Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face. This is a great. This is the best storytelling you can get where nothing really ends. Yeah, so I'm still a fan, and as I typically do with my M. Bison drawings every Tuesday, they're taking the shape of something that's held my interest in the former week or the current one. So M. Bison's punching Two-Face in the one face. And I did this before rereading The Long Halloween, so I wasn't even sure how to draw Two-Face. Did a little bit of Googling, wasn't too worried about it. I am showing you the side of his face that is scarred as I was flipping the image just to kind of correct some of the bad drawing, but I actually accidentally drew his face scarred the right way. But only when you see the image as I'm showing it to you now, which is actually reversed. I just wanted his scarred face to be facing the camera. That was the only thinking that went into it. I'm very proud of M. Bison's fist. It looks actually passably like a fist. If you look at that previous version of Two-Face's big hand at the top of the canvas, his thumb was not coming out of his hand in a remotely human way. I did correct, but yeah, hands are something you can never spend enough time referencing, and I couldn't spend less time referencing. I also spent another hour doing a little bit of Smiley Saturday. You know, I'm trying to ever so slightly coax myself through the process of making comics and all the busy work of doing the paneling and adding the speech and tightening up the line work and then doing the coloring. I'm trying to trick myself into doing it without really noticing. So, you know, typically what I will do is I will do the paneling, which is about dropping vector layers down and using shapes and trying to ensure everything is parallel and equally spaced. It's harder in Clip Studio Paint than it is in Photoshop because Photoshop does the thinking for you. And then the simplest thing to do is to just use the text tool and drop in the speech bubbles. And then start, you know, working on the actual line work. The thing about doing formal line work when it's professional is I start getting quite uptight about the quality of the line work, and what I find is zooming in really close and being very gestural gets me the best results and keeps me the sanest. Excuse me. Looking at this without the under pencil drawings, I get closer to what is clean. I get closer to what is appropriate to show. It's still miles away from being professional, but you know what? Every Saturday I get a little bit closer. And just to wrap up, I did watch a Let's Play of Portal and Portal 2 again, two Steam games back from the time where Steam, Valve or whatever actually used to make games, and boy, they were some of the best games you could get. Very well written, very well produced, very original, very short. This is what AAA games could have been if they didn't become what they are. I don't know that people. I mean, the Portal games have really high like Metacritic scores and stuff, but I don't know how happy people would be to constantly pay the money they pay for a brand new game, for it to be 2 or 3 hours long, even if it's really unique and enjoyable and delightful, like these two games are. Stephen Merchant, the role he plays in the second game it's almost like magic. The way his performance seems so. It's like, it's a strange thing for me to say he makes the video game feel interactive when he tells you to turn around and he does something behind your back and there's a joke to it and all of these things. You see this in other games, but the way this game does it, it's like you're taking part in a TV show or something. It's almost impossible to describe this. I did actually not just watch a Let's Play of Portal 2, I did own and play it for real. But that's neither here nor there. Just something I thought I'd bring up. So that's the end of Pecha Kucha 284, and I'll see you next time.